All right, so in this problem, I wanted to show you what geometrically we have here, because that might help you figure out what to do. So we have this shape that is x by x, and the reason in this particular case we know that is if we fold it down, we should get a square, right? Because I'm from a 45-degree angle, and these sides are the same length. So that's a square that is x long by x long, and then we have this other length that's 5. And so let me make my square a little bit more apparent. If you draw this down, sort of roughly on this left side would form a square. That's x by x, and then on this right side I have a shape that's x long here and 5 long there. And I want to somehow make this a square, and I want to know what can I add to it to make it a square. And what I have to add to it has to be some known amount. It can't be something in terms of x. So I can't have any x's here, but I have to figure out how to make this a square. So one of the tricks to do this is known as completing the square. So again, just to be clear, right, I have a side that's x plus 5 long and a side that's x long. And so what we really have here is an area of x squared plus 5x. And we're trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this thing a square? How do I complete the square? So one thing you can do is if you fold this in half, I'm going to fold it exactly over in half. So I'm folding this in half, and so now one of the questions is, how big is each half? Well, I've cut the 5 in half, so each length here now is 5 halves, 2.5, 5. And it's still x long, so now I still have the same area. I have x squared plus 5 halves x plus 5 halves x, which is still x squared plus 5x. So I haven't changed anything. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off one of these 5 halves. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it down here. So now I have still the same amount of area. And so now the question is, in right here, in this spot, how much area do I need to add? Well, if you look at it, this height right here is 5 halves, and this width here is 5 halves. So if I add in a piece that's right there, try to cut this out and ask you what the area is of a piece right here to make a square, right? This is x plus 5 halves, x plus 5 halves. I just have this missing piece, and if I ask you what the area of this missing piece is, you should tell me it's 5 halves times 5 halves, because that's the length and the width, otherwise known as 5 halves squared. So if I add 5 halves squared, or 25/4, to this original shape that I started with, which was x plus 5 times x, if I add that on in a way by reconfiguring this, that is a known quantity, right? 25/4 is a known quantity that I can add on that would complete my square. Now I'll talk about what this means algebraically in the next video on this same problem.